The Zohar explains what happens when a person dies. 40 days before the person dies, they announce in the heavenly bulletin, Moshe Zuchman is about to die. They start announcing 40 days before that, so-and-so is about to die. 30 days before that, every day a piece of the neshama leaves the body. The tzelem, the image of the body, starts leaving every day. The day of the death, the soul leaves the body. The neshama, the piece that's in the body, completely leaves the body. Moments before the person dies, the ruach already leaves the body. Then the nefesh stays in the body very vulnerable because it's not wrapped around with a ruach and a neshama. So the nefesh goes into the heart and locks itself in the heart, and then the person dies. This is what the Zohar says. Now they take the person and they have to bury the person right away. It's unbelievable torture for the nefesh when the body is not buried right away. That's why in Jewish custom you don't wait for the relatives to fly from everywhere. You put the body in the ground right away, because any second that the body is out, all these klipot and spirits all come to the body and they start attacking the body. That's why you see with Chevre Kadisha, there's always somebody next to the body reading Tehillim, lighting candles, and so forth. Once the body is placed in the ground, the moment that the last person leaves the cemetery, then come 4 angels, they dive into the grave, and they push the ground of the grave down to a level that if you would take the body of the person and make them stand up, that's how deep they push it down. And they take the nefesh out of the body. And how they take the nefesh out of the body? The Gemara says they come with torches of fire and they start beating the body to take the nefesh out. Now, one of the first things that they ask the soul, who are you? That's why we have a custom. I can't say it's a halacha, but more of a minhag, that when we finish praying Shmona Esrei, we say a verse of our name. Because when you're going to see these angels, you can't tell them my name is Moshe. There's no Moshe in the spiritual world. There's verses of Torah. So you memorize a verse of your name that starts, if my name is Alon, then the verse has to start with an aleph and finish with a nun. And we say that at the end of Tfilat Shmona Esrei. Some people have the custom to also mention a few psukim of great tzaddikim. Why? Because that's the time when you can actually use the neshama of the tzaddik to come and protect you. That's why right away we say Kaddish, because the Kaddish surrounds the neshama and protects it. But nevertheless, the more pleasures I derived in this world, the more dirt it has to be hidden to get out of. Because the nefesh can't even go up to the next level. When I was a little kid, my grandmother used to take the rugs, put them on the railing, and she had the stick, and she used to hit the rugs with a stick, and all the dust would go out. That's chibut hakever. I enjoy things in this world. Look at the Baba Sali. He fasted from Sunday to Friday. Many great tzaddikim, they wouldn't even eat, they wouldn't even do anything. Why? They didn't want to take any pleasure from this world. Once I take any pleasure from this world, I'm not talking about forbidden things, I'm talking about permitted things, then this pleasure, they didn't go l'shem shamayim. Shabbat, stuff yourself up. Shabbat, have all your cookies and ice cream and everything, because Shabbat, it's a mitzvah to pleasure the body. During the week, there's no mitzvah to pleasure the body. If anything is done not l'shem shamayim, then there's going to be dirt on the body. So chibut hakever, this is the hitting. Everybody goes through it. Doesn't matter who you are. Unless you're really in a high level, then we have to go through it, and it's not a fun process. There are ways how to diminish the process of chibut hakever. And needless to say that you want to minimize pleasures in this world. But we do have sources that it says if a person memorizes words of Torah off by heart, that you say Mishnayot off by heart, Tehillim off by heart, verses from the Torah off by heart while you're walking around, then that will save you from chibut hakever. There is I don't know if to call it a psalm, but there's something that we read, it's called Perek Shirah, the Song of Creation. This the Arizal says also, if you read it, it will save a person from chibut hakever. There's different things that one can say that and to recite, but nevertheless it's not a nice process. But I don't know how we sidetrack to that, but the point is that chibut hakever, I wouldn't even call it a punishment, I would call it a process, because the soul is so dirty, it can't even take off. It has to be hit that all the junk will get off, so the nefesh can start going up slowly and slowly. Needless to say, the more the person is righteous, then the soul goes higher much faster, and this is another investment you want to think. People pay a lot of money for life insurance. You should also do some insurance for the life after life, that when you leave the body, then you have some protection with you. That's why, the greatest investment you can do is have a kid that goes in the path of the Torah. Why? Because he will bury you in the right way. He will make sure he says Kaddish on you and learns Torah for your name. That's why we do that, because it helps the neshama in a ways that we can't even imagine. Needless to say, what torture it is for the soul to see the body being cremated or buried in some disgraceful way, or putting makeup on the body and all sorts of stuff like that. Hashem Erachem, what the suffering that the soul is standing next to the body. The nefesh doesn't get disattached from the body for 30 days. 7 days when the body is in the ground, while we sit Shiva, the nefesh during the day is in the home, and at night is in the grave, sitting on the grave. If you would have some x-ray vision, you would see nefesh sitting on the grave, waiting. Can't leave the body, just can't get it disattached from the body. And then in the day, it goes to the Shiva, to see everybody fighting about the inheritance. And he said, and she said, and hearing all the Lashon Hara. And then, the nefesh goes through unbelievable trauma. And needless to say, why we learn Torah in a house of a deceased, and Kaddish and Shiva, to soothe the nefesh, to let the nefesh go. And that's why we cover the mirrors, because the nefesh, it sees everything. Now imagine the shock that the nefesh comes to the mirror, and the mirror is empty, doesn't see anything. So it puts the nefesh into a shock that it causes a lot of stress and suffering for the nefesh. Then 30 days, that's why we have Shiva, 30 days in a year. And it's very important not to go to the grave during that time. You bother the nefesh. It has to go through this therapy, so to say, to get disattached from the body. So 30 days, the nefesh is still attached to the body. It can't leave the body. This is another thing why our sages say, don't get used to things in this world, such as cigarettes and being addicted to all sorts of things, because the nefesh wants it when you leave the world. Can you imagine how bad it is? Again, going back to the movie world, remember the movie Ghost? When the guy was sitting on the train and Patrick Swayze came and he wanted a cigarette, he was like, oh, what I would do for a cigarette right now. Remember that scene? This is all coming from true things. The nefesh wants the thing that it's addicted to. Whether it's a cup of drink, a cigarette, a coffee, what it is, because the nefesh is so attached to the body, it gets used to things. That's why you see the great leaders, the great tzaddikim, the great sages, they don't take anything from this world, don't enjoy anything from this world, they don't want to be part of this world. Why? Because when you leave, it's hard to say goodbye.